You are watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. If we don't harness our true values, others will steal it. That Africa has a rich history is not in doubt. That culture and art are also symbols of history and development is equally not contested. The evidence still abounds from the Great Pyramids in Egypt and Sudan, the Benin moat and bronze works, to the Igoku bronze works of art which were at that time even more advanced and sophisticated than those found anywhere else in Europe. Also true is that colonialism plundered the continent's rich heritage of arts and craft. Before the transatlantic slave trade and the horror of colonial rule, several African kingdoms were just as developed, if not more so, than equally well-known European capitals. Amidst the increasingly loud calls for the return of African cultural treasures appropriated by colonial powers. Indeed, for instance, the UK has over 4,000 pieces of ivory and bronze artifacts that the British Army looted from the Benin in 1897. The reality is that colonial rule not only took away our raw materials, it also took away our pride and heritage and left us with new foreign gods and values. The idea of returning or loaning back African artifacts has received mixed reactions from across the art world, with some in the West actually advocating for temporarily loaning the works back to Africa instead of outright permanent return. Yeah. According to them, our museums are not well equipped to handle the works. I, however, take a much more nuanced view of the significance of the return of Africa's looted cultural heritage. One could argue that Africa's descent into decline can be traced to the loss of our history and heritage. Africa lost its way when we lost our cultural heritage. And one way of finding our way back is to have the huge chunks of our heritage and history that are in foreign museums brought back and for our people to learn about all the majesty and glory of Africa through our art. Indeed, consider the Michelangelo's David sculpture, which is a symbol of the city of Florence in Italy and is known by every child in Europe, its complexity and importance and what it means to Europe. Or the Notre Dame Cathedral, which is not just a church, it is a symbol of the greatness of the French. When it burned down recently, money was found in less than 24 hours. Billions of dollars was found in 24 hours. It is a symbol of the civilization of the French. It is not just a physical building, but a monument of the collective intelligence of the French people. When their children go see the sculptures and buildings, they are taught at a very young age that they are builders and thinkers. And when they see the buildings and sculptures, they know that the buildings and sculptures can never die because it is in their collective cultural intelligence, which is constantly nourished and promoted. This is because cultural heritage is recognized as a strategic resource for sustainable development and is a key element in global competition. So, whilst we need our cultural heritage to be returned, what is also significantly important is that we need to teach ourselves and our children similar mindset as the French. The key question remains, how ready are we to receive the artworks when they're returned? Do we have the facilities and indeed the mindset to manage them sustainably? Perhaps we should use the return of our heritage as an opportunity for some sort of intellectual and cultural renaissance.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with the way you ended. Are we ready for them? Even though you feel a bit ashamed to say that, you know, when you hear them saying they'll loan it back to you because they're not sure, it sounds patronizing, yeah. but if you're honest,
it's the truth.
Are we really ready? You know, because at the moment our values are more in pursuit of superficial things. So are we in that place where we were when we made those artifacts and we valued them above certain other things? I dare say we're not, you know, so but how do we get back there? It's not necessarily, we can do that without even the artifacts being returned to us. We can begin to, you know, teach it in schools and, you know, find a way of demonstrating it in a very repetitive way that this is culturally. I'm even at a loss for maybe ideas of how do we do it, but definitely we have to do it. I like your connection very quickly between the human development and the cultural values. I think it's an interesting one, you know, because when you look into it, it's clear that there is a connection there.
Yeah. I mean, sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, excuse me. I'm bored with that argument about are we ready for it, you know, whatever. If you place value, respect and currency on arts and culture and heritage, then just get on with it. You know, I'm like Nike, just do it. And if we can't afford it, you stole it, pay us back for all the years you've had it, and we'll use that to invest and build good museums. I'm bored with that argument. I'm sick and tired because it's just an excuse for them to continue to hold on to something that rightfully belongs to us. And like you said, look how quickly international people have started giving money, you know, to the French to rebuild
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. You know, so why are they not giving us our money back? Why is nobody thinking it's important? Because we've actually been loaning to them for all these decades. So pay us back, even if it's only half the price. That's number one. Number two is we then have to look at ourselves. And if we bring it to today, I mean, Emeka, you and I know what goes on in the arts and culture and the frustrations. And then that comes back to us as a people. The frustrations where culture is not respected in the sense that, so you have a government that says, you know, we want to increase tourism and promote our culture, and, you know, and they build theaters in somewhere, I don't know, you know, but they don't actually put, how do you say, direct investment. And they keep saying there's no money, and they've turned those of us in the arts into beggars, effectively. You're having to beg for sponsorship. You're having to beg somebody to do this, somebody to do that. So what does that do? That, in effect, starts to kill creativity. It starts to handicap, you know, productivity and all sorts of things. So, yes, we have our own internal problems with regards to our relationship and respect for one of the most valuable currencies you can have in the world, in any civilization, which is arts and culture. We have a problem with it, but that doesn't mean, just because I got a problem with my brother doesn't mean you can have a problem with my brother. Do you know what I mean? Give it back here, and I'll deal with our brother. Yeah, that's how I see it.
I think we're not ready to receive the things back. If we were given back today, I would be the first to say, no, hold it, don't give us back anything. These people are not ready, they're not serious, because they're not. The National Museum has no idea how to look after these things, whether in the storage section or even in the display section. They've destroyed a lot of what is currently in Nigeria. Forget what is in Europe. In fact, what is in Europe is now safe because it is there. Now, I know that I'm just speaking without context. In context, when you seize things from people, you disenfranchise them, you can play with their mind, many things happen. So it's not, in a way, I'm not saying it's our fault that we are this bad, but we are. So the way forward, we do need more books on art, films on art,
festivals,
art, even if it's over there.
Yes.
Film them.
Yeah.
Come on, you're not doing any of that.
Yes.
And then you're telling them to give you back the actual things when they came here and came to the National Museum and ran away in disgust at what they saw go. And I'm saying it openly now. You know, it's not good.
It is our art. It is our art to do whatever we want to do.
What?
Yes. No, hang on.
Sorry.
No, it is. Look, for the first time, I didn't even know. Wait, let me get in there. For the first, I didn't even know we even preserved a lot of things. And I made my way to the museum. I'm not sure whereabouts it is now because I can't remember. And they actually preserved quite a few things. The bullet-ridden car.
Yes, of course.
You know, and all of that. If once, just give it to us. We will make ourselves ready. Yes, we will make ourselves ready.
Yes.
I don't like all this stuff about how, no, why you always disagree? You're always thinking that, no, he is. You're always thinking that we just don't have the capacity. No, we will find the capacity, Nigerians, that we know how to organize ourselves. When something falls apart, we're able to, we figure it out.
But Chuka, do you even agree with what Ireti is saying, that they owe us some demurrage, if you like, because they're holding on to our goods? So let's at least get that firmed up.
So I think let me you know, so there's this thing about national pride, about we getting our pride back.
Yes.
I think that's, for me, is very important.
It's very important.
Getting our art back is very important because, you know, a lot of people don't even realize how valuable this art to our emotional well-being.
That's
I think that's key. How we get it back, whether we get it with some restitution, that would be great.
That's great. Yeah.
It's important.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, some people are actually building museums as well.
Very interesting discussion. Some matters need more spotlighting to be appreciated. Time to turn the spotlight on your advocacy. Ndubuchi has a lot to say regarding Ireti's advocacy on death by corruption. The culture of corruption is more acceptable in Nigeria. Even the majority of those in authority who preach against it are also involved in making it harder to stop. The fact that a foreigner will arrive in Nigeria for the first time and the first experience he or she will get is an immigration officer asking him or her for money or gift is something that can land you in jail in Ghana if you're an immigration officer doing the same thing. But in Nigeria, you probably get away with it easily, and the corruption cycle continues. On Nigeria and her LGBT children, Coco Olisa says, I love the fact that the advocate talks about sensitive issues and it's not the politically correct program. It teaches the public to air their views and opinions without fear or intimidation. The public also learns how to accept contrary views. Kudos. I love your program, guys. Your panelists are doing great. The conversation on this topic is a vibrant one, Emmy Collins from London says. As I said, I didn't mean to be rude. However, taking an opinion doesn't translate to insulting other people. Methinks calling other people's way of life an aberration amounts to an insult. She is entitled to say she didn't approve of it, and that is very good. But calling it an aberration, I believe I heard the word aberration unless I heard wrong. Well, keep sending us your thoughts on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's +TV Africa, #TheAdvocateNG. Or on Twitter and Instagram, it's at +TV Africa, #TheAdvocateNG. And remember, to catch up with previous broadcasts, go to www.plustvafrica.com/theadvocate. Time to go on a brief break, and we return. And when we return, Ireti turns our attention to democratic issues.